Compared to Lieutenant Spock's Ethan Peck prior relationship with Nurse Christine Chapel Jess Bush, the contentious romance in Star Trek, Strange New Worlds makes a lot more sense. When Chapel introduced her new boyfriend, Dr. Roger Korby, Cillian O'Sullivan, the Vulcan finally came to terms with the fact that Chapel had broken up with Spock during Star Trek's first ever musical episode. In the 3 months that passed between the debut of Star Trek, Strange New Worlds Season 3, and the second episode of Season 2, Wedding Bell Blues, Spock joined Lieutenant Lan Noonien Singh Christina Chong as her dance partner. Of course, Spock and Lan's romance was sparked by the closeness of dancing. The Vulcan reciprocated Lan's amorous sentiments for Spock in a space adventure hour, the 4th episode of Season 3 of Star Trek, Strange New Worlds. But Lan informed Nurse Chapel that Spock and she are merely having vague fun times. Compared to Spock and Chapel's turbulent relationship, this is a significant improvement. Why Lan and Spock make a better couple than Spock and Nurse Chapel. Although viewers may naturally think that Spock and Lan's romance was unexpected, a closer examination of their connection reveals that it makes sense. Both Lan and Spock are effective, no-nonsense Starfleet officers. They both suffer from internal anguish. Lan bears the guilt of a Gorn survivor, while Spock struggles with his human and Vulcan halves. Spock and Lan, however, also make an effort to transcend their preconceived notions. While Lan longs for more life experiences outside of her role, Spock enjoys exploring his human emotions and used to rely on Nurse Chapel for this. Compared to Spock and Chapel, Lan and Spock have a lot more characteristics. There is also a noticeable electric chemistry between Christina Chong and Ethan Peck. Nurse Chapel is a better love match for Dr. Roger Korby because, as she admits, she was too unpredictable and insecure in her relationship with Spock. The exploration of Spock and Chapel as a relationship in Star Trek, Strange New Worlds was appropriate, but Spock and Christine Don stay for long since they are essentially a holdover from an unrequited love tale in Star Trek, the original series. Terms of service in Star Trek Spock and La'an's love story won't last, according to canon, while Spock's insistence on being decisive with Nurse Chapel hastened the end of their romance. La'an and Spock are cautious not to define their relationship and are instead observing where things go. No matter how long it lasts, Spock and La'an's romance has a time limit, as any Star Trek fan knows. Star Trek, the original series, does not contain any mention to La'an. Maybe Lan will just decide not to serve with 2 men she is drawn to by the time Captain James T. Kirk, Paul Wesley, assumes command of the USS Enterprise. Lan might possibly have a terrible future, which would cause Spock to adopt Vulcan reasoning and explain why Kirk and Spock never bring up Lan. In terms of service, perhaps the pivotal moment that transforms Spock, Ethan Peck, into Leonard Nimoy's Vulcan is La'an's bond with Spock. The romance between Lan and Spock may have ended before Star Trek, the original series, although it may continue throughout the remaining episodes of Season 3 of Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, and potentially into Seasons 4 or 5. Viewers should savor their fun times while they last, just like in La'an and Spock.